Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Mind Over Matter, the Mom Podcast. Episode 6, guys. Welcome to the space where we have conversations with women who embody resilience, intentionality in their motherhood journey, career, and self-growth. And today, not once, not twice, but she has been to this space, not the podcast, but, this space. You know what I mean? Everybody, welcome Erica Mbanda.
Thank you so much. Yeah, we back.
Welcome back.
Thank you so much.
Erica wears a lot of hats. She is a mother of 2. She's a wife. She's very passionate about marriages, by the way, and motherhood. And she's an entrepreneur. She's the founder, the owner of Mukati and Butta, a favorite café. We're going to dive into that journey shortly. And she is a life coach. So, girl, karibu.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Happy to have you.
What an introduction.
I feel like I didn't do justice. That's you.
Hey.
How are you?
I'm doing very well. I'm so happy to be here.
Happy to have you.
And I'm so proud of you. A whole podcast.
I know.
This is amazing. So amazing.
Thank you.
Keep winning, sis.
Thank you so much. Okay. Say hi to the people.
Hi, everyone. As she said, my name is Erica Mbanda, and I'm so happy to be here and just have this conversation with you.
Yes. So I'm going to dive right into it.
Sure.
But first, let's do some icebreakers. The first question is, what's one thing people are always surprised to learn about you?
That I'm an introvert. You surprised?
Well, because I feel like we've talked about this, me and you.
Have,
but I'm like,
maybe.
people would really be surprised.
Yeah,
the first time I was like,
very
shocked.
surprised. Yeah.
I'm like, how you are so bubbly, you outgoing when you talk to people, you know how to talk to people.
Yeah.
You're always outside.
Yeah. We outside. That's
So
when the social anxiety kicks in. No.
So like, how, I mean...
Yeah. So I would say I'm an introverted extrovert. Like I've learned to be extroverted, but my natural self, like I'm very introverted. I love time alone. I love time by myself. Like that's really how I energize. So I think by definition, like how do you find energy? And it's not by people. Like people actually drain me.
you? Ouch.
No offense. But people do drain me.
Yeah.
But then also like I just love more intimate, conversations and just, spending time with smaller groups of people, one-on-one is kind of my thing. But I think because of my professions, I think because also my calling, thank you, Jesus.
Hallelujah.
is really about just like talking to people as well. And so I think through social media, like what people forget is it's just me in the room behind the camera, maybe with my husband.
Yes.
And I get to do silly things. But if I had to do that in front of an audience,
like a live,
would be a bit hard.
Yeah.
But I've learned and I've grown. So I think introverted by nature, but I still do love people. Throw me in a networking session and you will see me freeze.
Yes.
I'll just go to a corner and find one person to talk to the whole time.
I feel like I relate to you.
Yeah.
Do you believe if I say I'm an introvert?
I mean, now that when I meet people like that, I totally believe it because what you see is not necessarily what is, natural for people inside.
I always find excuses not to go to like a bigger crowd or like a gathering. I've had invitations to like go to such pop-ups or whatever, and I'm like, I don't have someone to come with. Like, who am I gonna talk to?
Can I get a +1? Or who am I gonna meet there? And then I call them, meet me at the gate.
There you go. But I feel like it's something we have learned. I'll say we because now I relate to what you just said. We have learned to you know what? You're in this space, you have to learn. Okay, another icebreaker. If you could only drink one thing from Mukati and Butta for the rest of your life, what would it be?
From Mukati and Butta.
I know what I would eat for the rest of my life.
I know. I'm like, can you say pastries? Because I feel like I would know pastries.
Let's do that. What could you eat if it's one thing you could eat from Mukati and Butta for the rest of your life?
Cinnamon rolls.
Yeah.
Cinnamon rolls.
Yeah.
If you haven't had them, go have them. They're so good.
They're so yummy.
So good.
For me, the chicken waffles. Actually, when I went to a breakfast date with Karen,
I was about to say, it must be Karen, because that's Karen's like chicken and waffles.
I have, like, every time I come back,
Yeah.
that's my order.
Yeah.
Every time I come back, that's my order. The
love
side
that.
of like potatoes,
With the potatoes,
salted potatoes.
Yeah.
I'm hungry already.
I love it.
Okay, let's move on. What's your current guilty pleasure that's keeping you sane?
Honestly, I've just recently learned like to meditate.
Ooh.
And I feel like that's been kind of my go-to and my thing right now. Just and for me, I always thought like sitting kind of in silence, but my thoughts would always just be like, you know? And so with meditation is really just like, yes, recognizing thoughts, but more like just focusing on your breathing. And I just feel like anytime I feel a bit overwhelmed with life or whatever's going on at that moment, just taking a few minutes to just sit and meditate has been amazing. I wish I could say it's a show. I've been trying to get into shows and I just fall asleep all the time.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, but I would say meditation.
Okay.
And the peanut butter cookies at Mukati and Butta. They've been the latest
Guilty
obsession.
pleasure. You're like,
Yeah,
do you stress eat?
I do.
You do.
Yeah,
Okay.
so bad. So
Me too.
bad. Yeah, stress eat, comfort eat, happy eat. I just eat when it's good, eat when it's bad all the time.
Would you say you're a foodie?
I'm definitely a foodie.
You are?
Yes, 100%.
Okay. Well,
100%.
hi, bestie. What's one lesson recently that made you go, oh God, I see you?
I had a hangout with a girlfriend, and we were just kind of talking about like our calling, our purpose, what God is calling us to do. And yeah, it just got really deep, and I just felt like her affirmation and just like what she was sharing about her own journey. One of the things that I've been grappling with God is just like, God, I feel like you're calling me to do something really big and outside of my comfort zone. And I'm really, really scared. And that's just something that I just keep like in my prayer time. It's just like, but God, like I'm so scared. Like this just feels too big. It feels like I'm doing this alone. And so in meeting her, like she was able to also share like what God has been speaking to her, and it's been very, very similar. And so it's almost like it right in that moment, I was just like, okay, God, thank you. Like you've given me not only someone that I can pray for, but I can pray with, and that she can pray for me. And we have similar callings, and it's still scary, but it's like, all right, we got this. We can do this. So,
can you imagine those are only icebreakers? What are we going to do in the conversation? Okay. So, okay, let's dive right into the conversation of today. We shall be sharing about her journey as an entrepreneur, transitioning, and how that was. She'll share with us her story.
Yeah.
And then we'll go from there. And recently she shared about myths of entrepreneurship on her page. I would love to explore that. And not to forget the beautiful 40 lessons by Cha, I can't wait to dive deep into those. Yeah. So yeah, let's get into it.
Yeah.
Could you please share with us your story, your journey transitioning from corporate to entrepreneurship? What sparked that? What was the drive behind that?
Yeah.
Why? Your why?
Yeah.
I'd love to hear that.
Yeah. Gosh, well, first, I never thought I'd be an entrepreneur. Like, never in my life. So if someone told me that I'd be owning and running a business, I would have just laughed in their face, because that's not something I ever dreamed of doing. But in 2020, why is that?
Yeah.
I don't know. It was never a thought. Maybe it was my own limiting beliefs, but at first I always wanted to be a doctor. I want to be a pediatrician. I love kids. Ended up doing counseling and doing play therapy with kids. And then my whole journey has just taken me through so many twists and turns. But maybe a component of it is also just my insecurity. Like I never really was confident in like myself and my abilities, and always wanting affirmation from people.
And reassurance.
And so with work, it was just like, just work hard, and then you get a promotion, and you get to move to this job, and you get this job, and you get recognized for this. And so maybe that was just like easier to just know where I stand based on promotions or what jobs I was getting. And so it was never really a thought. But Mukati and Butta started when I first moved back to Rwanda. And it was really just a brunch club, just to be able to get to know people and connect with people. So my roommate and I had started it. And it was just something for fun. So it really wasn't like a business idea. But in 2020, I think my reason for going into entrepreneurship, I guess, would be I wanted more flexibility. And so right after I had my daughter, I was getting ready to go back into work. I had 4 months, which is amazing. So at like 4.5 months is actually when I went back to work. And this is my first child. So I didn't know anything about mom brain or like any of this stuff. But I went back to work and I'm just like, I'm forgetting everything. I don't know how to talk to people. Like all my conversations has been about like diapers and food and burps and all of these things. And now I'm having to have like all these conversations with adults. And I had no idea like how to do that. But there was a lot of anxiety that came with going back to work. And so in 2020, lockdown happened and I got to spend a whole bunch of time with my daughter, which was amazing. And I just realized like I would just love to have more flexibility. I thought I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. So I was like, I want to be a stay-at-home mom. That's my dream. I would cry to Junior. I'm like, this is what I just want to stay home. Like, I don't want to work. I want to be here. And so that kind of opened up my mind to, well, what is it that I could do? I was getting my coaching certification. So you talked about me being a coach in 2020. And the whole idea was like, okay, I'm going to help people. But really that helped me the most. And so it helped me understand like more about myself. What is it that I love to do? What are my values? Like, what is really important to me? And as I started asking myself those questions and really digging deep, I just realized, like, I think this work thing that I'm doing, while I loved my job, like it made a huge impact. I loved what I was doing, but I just felt like there's something more that I need to do. And I don't know exactly what that is, but I need to take a break. I found my joy for baking again. And so I started Mukati and Butta just to kind of spread joy. During lockdown, as soon as things opened up, I was putting out a menu.
I feel like during lockdown, we're all chefs at some point.
Yeah, that's for sure. That's for sure. So that's how the journey started. 6 months later, I quit my job. And I was like, now what? All I had was a very supportive husband, a lot of prayer, a lot of faith, and it was just like, let's just see where this is going to take us. And I started Mukati and Butta, but really gave myself a lot of time to just be home and raise my daughter.
So was there a moment, like before you quit, like more like, I'm going to do this, like an epiphany or something?
Well, so I was right in the middle of a peer-to-peer coaching session. And the lady that was coaching me was asking a bunch of questions, and I was telling her about how like I feel like I need to go into entrepreneurship, but I'm really scared. And so she started kind of coaching me through that, like what are some of your fears? What are the support systems that you have? And through that coaching session, there was just this huge light bulb, like, okay, Erica, like fear is stopping you from doing this, and that fear is not going to go away because all of these fears, you're going to carry them even into when you start your thing. And so when I saw that, I was just like, well, this isn't going to go away. I'm just delaying this pain. So let me just, you know, pull off the Band-Aid and jump into it. So I think that was the moment for me.
Okay, so let's just go right into it. So now you're an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
You've been sharing the myths behind. What is that thing you're like, oh, this is a shocker? I didn't know about this, but yeah.
Well, I told you I wanted to start my own thing so I could have more flexibility. And yes, while it does bring a lot of flexibility because you're your own boss, you make your own time and all of that, but it is your own thing. And it also doesn't sleep, like it never sleeps. So there's just always something, whether it's an idea, whether it's something you need to fix, whether it's someone that needs something from you, it's just constantly going. And
you don't have a 9 to 5, literally.
You don't have a 9 to 5, you can't clock out. And whereas before with the work, like I also wasn't that type of person to like 5 o'clock, I'm going to clock out because I really cared about what I did and I wanted to do it well. But now when it's your own thing, like you care almost too much. And that boundary line is just so blurred. So I think it just showed me how a lot of times I was very heavy on the business and like not necessarily prioritizing my family, my kids. And it was like, well, I'm doing this for my family. I'm trying to get my business up and going, up and going, up and going. But the reality is that doesn't ever really stop. And so if you can't really find the balance in that, then you're just going to be very heavy on one side. And I just didn't want to like wake up and my kids are 16 and I'm just like, I've just been focused on this business, building this business for my kids, but
I haven't been present.
I have not been present, you know? So So that, I think that was the biggest shocker for me, is like, oh, it's not as easy as it looks. It's not as glamorous as it looks. It's really hard. And I learned a lot about myself, and just like my self-doubt, imposter syndrome, not believing myself. And I think all of those things really go against you as your own boss, because you have to be the one to kind of pick yourself up, because everything is almost against you.
So recently I was listening to a podcast, the CEO podcast. So they were sharing about how being your own boss, sometimes you can show disrespect yourself, in a sense that when your boss tells you, I need this by this time, you're able to deliver because you respect your boss. If they tell you, I need maybe certain projects to do, or we have to work long hours, you respect the boss. But then with entrepreneurship, sometimes you think of something, I'll do it later. Has that ever happened to you?
Wow. All the time.
All the time? Does it mean you respect yourself?
Oh my gosh. Yes, probably.
Jokes aside, but
profound, though.
like that hit hard, because I'm like, when your boss says at 8, you have to be at work.
Yeah.
You are disciplined.
Yeah.
Plus the fear and respect for this person.
Yeah.
You have to be there at 8. But when you're self-employed or you're an entrepreneur, despite having flexible hours, you tend to like, okay, I'm flexible, I know, but so where the line between having to be disciplined and saying, yes, I know I'm flexible, but this is a business and I am my own boss, so I have to respect myself.
Yeah.
So I'd like to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah. That's really powerful. I think for me, respecting myself would be more around like giving myself also time, because I think I work so hard and I'm so hard on myself. So if I do say something like, I'm going to do this today and I don't manage to do it, then I'm just really hard on myself. Like, why didn't you do that? Do you not care about this as much as you say you do? Why are you failing? And then I just get down this whole downward spiral. But I think the respect for myself on the flip side, because I'm so hard on myself, it's not like that I'm necessarily lazy and I don't want to get the things done. But because I'm so hard on myself, I think I just need that respect of just being kind and gracious, of like, okay, you didn't get this done, but what are all the other things that you got done?
Yes.
And so I think that has helped me. Like, one of the things that I've tried to do is just have like this checklist of things that I need to get done. And I try to keep it very simple. But then at the end of the day, I write down all the things that I did do. So sometimes that checklist maybe had 3 things and I didn't do any of those 3 things. And that used to like throw me for a spiral. But then when I can actually look at all the things that I did get done, then I was like, okay, girl, like you did something. It's not that you couldn't do anything. So I think that's where I would see that kind of thing about really like respecting myself, because I do hold myself to very high regard for the promises that I make to myself, what I want to get done. And I'd say I'm a pretty disciplined person, but I've had to give myself grace to also like not be so focused on like do and just be.
But also I feel like it should be the beauty of being your own boss.
Yeah.
Like, come on. So how do you say you're showing up as a mom during all these transitions?
Yeah. I think quality over quantity.
Preach.
Quality over quantity. And that's just with everything.
Yeah.
Because my measure of success for my business could be, because I still struggle with also how do people perceive me and what do they see? So it's almost like I need to be in the office all the time and I need to be working, I need to be there. If my team sees me like taking breaks or going on vacation with my family, then they think I'm just slacking. And so it's like I have to prove myself, Or at home with my kids, I need to be there all the time and like, do all this stuff because I'm trying to prove to them that I'm a really good mom, or I'm trying to prove to my husband that I'm a really good mom, or prove to him that I'm a really good wife. And it's like, just, Erica, stop proving and just be. Just be. You're a mom. You're a good mom.
Say that again.
Stop proving and just be.
Yes.
And it's like, and that's
so
a constant thing that I have to keep telling myself, because I do get into that spiral of like, do people see how hard I'm working? Do people see, so that I can earn that rest or earn that break, right? Do my kids see that I'm spending a lot of time with them, so that when I say I'm going to go work out and I'm going to go get my nails done or do this, and they ask me why, I don't feel bad about it. And I think it just boiled down to like, just stop trying to prove yourself and just be yourself. And with that, I'm a good mom. I'm a good boss. I'm a great entrepreneur. I have good ideas. I'm a great wife. And my time is split between all of those things. And so am I giving quality? It's not about time, because if I focus on all the time, then I'm just going to slip everywhere else. But am I giving quality time when I'm with my husband? Am I giving quality time when I'm with my kids at work and doing my best? And then that's kind of the balance and the juggle.
Nice. I've heard from different entrepreneurs, right? Like one thing that can only make your business thrive is how you treat your employees. And how, as Erica, do you show up for the people that work for you and the values you've instilled? And I mean, they're the reason your business could fail or thrive.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, absolutely.
I'd like to hear your thoughts on that.
I think for me, what I've learned a lot, especially I've been a leader in many different capacities, and a young leader. So as early as 27, I was leading a huge marketing tour. I had people that were way older than me, almost double my age, that I was leading. And I was so intimidated by that. And again, it was back to like proving myself. I have to prove that I'm capable to lead this team and I can do all of these things. And so it made me like work really hard, not have really grace for myself, not leave room for making mistakes, not leave room for asking for help or asking questions when I didn't know, because it's like, you have to know. You're the leader. You have to know everything.
Yes.
And so I have to be honest and say that like most of my leadership journey has been hiding under this insecurity of like, I can't do this. I'm not qualified. Like I like how? But I hid, like no one would see that. I didn't show that to anyone. And I think that in entrepreneurship, it showed its head in just like a very big way of like, I don't know what the heck I'm doing. And until I accepted that like I don't know what I'm doing and yet I'm still called to lead, I don't have all the answers and yet I am the leader. It's when I started just looking at, okay, like who can I really lean on? Like who can I learn from that's on my team? Because there's a lot of people on my team that I learn from because they have way more knowledge than me, yet I'm the leader. And that meant that for me to be more secure in who I am as a leader. But also it goes back to that, like stop proving and just being. Until I stopped proving and just I was being Erica, that's kind of how I showed up as a leader. And I think that kind of plays out in how I treat my team as well. Because yes, I'm very hard in the sense that like I want us to work hard, but also play hard. I want to hold people accountable. Like you said, you would do this. What happened? How do we learn from this? But I leave room for so many mistakes because mistakes is how you grow. Mistakes is how I've grown as an entrepreneur. And so I don't ding people for making mistakes. In fact, I just ding people for not making mistakes, covering up their mistakes, pretending like they know, all the things I used to do, because it doesn't get you really anywhere in being like really authentic. So I think the first thing is just like, how do I lead myself? Personal leadership. And then that informs also how I lead people. Because at the end of the day, you lead from like the same way you lead yourself. So if you lead yourself from a place of insecurity, a place from fear, that's how you're going to lead others, insecurity and fear. But if you give yourself grace, if you want to be empowered, if you want to continue growing, then that's how you're going to do it for your team. And I think that's how I show up as a leader, is really as a coach, is like, hey, with every single person on my team, like, how do I get you from here to like the next step that you want to go? And I'm not intimidated by that. If the next step you want to go is out of Mukati and Butta, this is great, you know? So, yeah.
Wow, amazing. I hope we are learning from that. I mean, being a leader, doesn't mean you know it all.
Yeah.
But also leaving room to the people around you to also make you better as a person.
Yeah.
So that's amazing. Thank you so much. I would like us to talk about your openness and your vulnerability. You recently opened up about you being diagnosed with ADHD, and I would like us to talk about that.
Yeah.
So first of all, how did you find out about that? And then how did that maybe change or reflect how you carried yourself moving forward?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. The point of which I found out, and also sharing more openly about it, there was quite a big gap.
Or maybe we first say, what is ADHD for those who don't know?
Yeah. So ADHD is attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, and it's usually diagnosed early in boys because you see it play out and then being very hyper and not listening and talking and all of these things. But yeah, so it impacts your executive functioning skills. It encompasses a lot. So for the sake of time, but it's part of the neurodivergent family. So how I found out in 2021, I actually took a trip with my husband to go to Mauritius. And my son was, I think, 9 months at that time. And I was super burnt out. I was really tired. And it was really interesting because there's no way, I mean, with Selah, it was really hard for me to get away when she was like 1. But at 9 months, my husband was about to go on a trip. And I was like, I feel like I'm going to go crazy. I need to go. I'm just going to take like 5 days. I just need time with myself. Like, I don't know what's going on, but I was just so overwhelmed. I was anxious. I was tired. There's just so much that was going on. So anyways, long story short, I went on this trip and I was listening to a podcast while I was on a walk, and I stumbled on this. I was listening to one podcast that led me to another, and this was now an interview between 2 women, and she was talking about how she got diagnosed with ADHD in her 30s. And so I was just like, this is really interesting. Like, what is this? So I went onto her page and listened to one of her sessions where she was just talking about like how she found out all the different symptoms and everything. And as I was listening to that, I was walking and I just kept feeling like I was going to just burst out in tears. And I was like, I don't know what's happening to me right now, but I'm just walking. I'm listening to this. I'm like, this is really beautiful. I'm just like listening. And then at some point I find this bench and I sit down and I just burst out into tears and I'm just crying. And I'm like, this is me. This is 100% me. I don't know who she's talking about, but she's talking about Erica, like from childhood all up until like adulthood. Anyway, so I sent the podcast to my husband. And I was like, this is really weird, but does this sound like me? And he responds and he was like, oh my gosh. And he's like, yes, 100% yes.
Wow.
So that's kind of like so it was more of like a self-diagnosis in that moment of just like, this is really interesting. And when I got back home, I met with my therapist. I did a whole assessment, then met with a psychiatrist as well and did the DSM-5, went through that whole assessment and confirmed everything. How did it feel? It felt freeing.
Oof,
it felt like I could breathe, like just like, okay. And like everything my whole life makes sense. That's what it felt like. It felt like my whole life made sense. I felt like I was just looking back at the little Erica and just feeling so sad of like, oh my gosh, like I really put myself through a lot and just feeling really, really bad. Like I masked this whole time through perfectionism, through trying to work hard, through pleasing people.
Also blaming yourself for not
all of these things.
Yeah.
So,
sorry.
So it was just like, I felt like, I felt liberated. I felt free. But then to be honest, after that, like that feeling after 2 days was just kind of like, okay, so.
Now what?
Hold on. I'm broken. And that's honestly like what I was just like, wow, okay, so this is now, I saw it as a handicap of like, this is a handicap of all the things that I cannot do and I cannot do well. And so a lot of shame came in of like, wow, I'm literally a child. Like I forget things and I need someone to help me forget things and I can't do executive functioning and like I get really overwhelmed. I can't emotionally regulate. And so now it became this huge long list of all the things that I can't do and all the things that are limiting of like why, like how I could appear lazy and like all of these things. And so that was really hard because now I just felt like this child that couldn't do anything. And I felt exposed, even to my husband, like someone that, you know, like I trust and that I spend my life with and I'm so open and honest with. I felt exposed of like, oh my gosh, like how does he see me now? Like, does he think I can't do that? And like when he was trying to be helpful, like, oh, hey, like, did you remember to like eat lunch? Did you drink your water?
Like, okay, now he thinks
the kids. I was like, now this guy thinks I can't do anything. And I was so frustrated.
Yeah. Oh, I'm
and so it came from a
sorry.
place of like love and grace, but
Yeah.
then I was just I felt so exposed. I felt shame. And so I wasn't even willing to accept that help. It was just kind of like, no, I'm fine. Like, I'm okay. And so then I went back into the whole masking. But to be honest, I think the breaking point was when the masking didn't work. And through like when I got married, I realized like, oh, I'm feeling a bit more anxious and overwhelmed about stuff, like keeping up with the house or, doing all these different things. But then when I had kids, that's why, like with Selah, I had postpartum anxiety. And a lot of that, like that anxiety, the depression, the tiredness, the overwhelm was just a lot of the ADHD that I just had no idea about. So I just went on to this journey of really just trying to understand, learn more about it, learn more about what's helpful for me. How can I use this as a superpower, as I kept hearing, like, this is your superpower. And now it's more of like, it's not about like, I can do all these great things in spite of ADHD. No. Like, because of my ADHD, I do all of these great things. Yeah. Like, this is who I am. And so it's not in spite of. And instead of, I catch myself, instead of like, why can't I do this? Like, it's no. Like, what do I need to help me thrive better in this situation? And so I don't see it so much as a handicap. It is not a handicap at all. It's just a different operating system. I have a very different operating system of how my brain works, of how it functions. And that also brings a lot of strengths. I'm very creative. I am a visionary leader. I am a bold risk taker. And so there's all of these things like, well, maybe I can't sit down with executive functioning skills for a long time because I get bored and I might procrastinate in that a whole lot. But there's also, I love solving big problems. So there's just so much that I can do. And so now it's just understanding like, what is the support system that I need? I have lots of reminders on my phone of things I need to do. I have lots of sticky notes everywhere of like all the things that I need to do. I'm not afraid to ask my team like, hey, remind me on this. Like, and if you don't hear from me, it's not because I don't want to do it. It's probably likely because I just forgot. So just remind me. I learned to have grace for me with my friends as well. Like my WhatsApp messages are just full. Like I can't keep up with WhatsApp, and responding to people when I think I've responded. So all of that, but yeah.
Actually, everything you've just said really embodies what this podcast is about. Mind
over matter. Yeah.
Like the way you just shared your story from the point of the matter itself, but then the perspective, how you just switched
your
everything,
mindset.
the mindset, like this is what it is, but this is how I'm gonna do about it. I'm gonna put systems in place to help me thrive. And that's powerful. When we are still on the vulnerability side, you have shared openly about grief. You recently, if I'm not mistaken, 2 years ago, you lost your brother. I would like us to hold space for him on the podcast and remember him. Just a second before we dive into that.
Thank you.
I'm so sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
And you've shared openly about grief and how dealing with that has been, how it's shaped you as a person. And maybe there's someone out there who's going through the same thing. And as we're honoring your story and his story, I would like you to share about grief a little bit, how that is for you and how it shaped you as a person, and maybe someone out there can relate and feel like they're not alone. Because again, we hold these spaces so that people can feel like they're not alone.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for that and just holding that space.
Well, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I'm really sorry. Yeah.
It's okay. Thank you. My brother is a very, very special person. He just lived life to the fullest. He loved people well. Just had a lot of joy. I feel like if joy could encompass a person, honestly, it was Eddie. It was just a lot of joy. So, grief.
Do you have a tissue somewhere?
No.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's okay.
Water?
He brought me water. Thank you. Water helps.
Okay. I have a scarf. You could dub. I'm Sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I'm good. I'll be fine. Yeah, grief, it's so hard because it's not, one, it's not the same for everyone. And it's a journey, but grief took me to a very, very, very dark place of just wondering, what is life? Who is God? I've been a Christian, a believer my whole life, but I think that was hard. Just something so unexpected, felt so unfair, untimely, just put a lot of questions in my mind about who God is, and how can a good God do something like this or allow something like this to happen? Because there's plenty of other times where people, don't die or are really sick and then somehow like get better, or there's all these miracles that are happening. So I'm just like, okay, God, but then why in this case, why wasn't there a miracle? And so it put a lot of questions in my mind, and it was a very lonely place, because as much as people want to be there for you, want to surround you, want to love you, and they all have great intentions, but like, it's just so hard to explain this thing that you're feeling inside, this loss. It's so hard to explain this love that you have for this person that you're like, now, like, what do I do? Like, what do I do with this is almost suffocating me. And so it's not an easy journey. And I feel like I just felt in different stages. The first year was really just like shock and just trying to make sure my family's okay. Like, is everyone fine? Like, how are my parents? How's my mom? Like, this must be just so hard for her. And then the second year is when it's just like, oh, wait a second. Like, this actually really happened. And where am I in this whole equation? Where have I given myself room to just be, So yeah, it's so hard to, like, I even did this whole series thing on grief, even on Instagram, but I think I just keep learning more and more about myself. I think some of the most powerful things is, one, I've learned to really just like cherish life. And in cherishing life, I think that it's made it easier also to let go of the things that I just like wear so much, or that put a lot of weight on me, whether it's people's opinions, whether it's me stopping to do something that I really want to do because of fear. Because I just realized, like, life is just so, like, you just don't know. You don't know. We have this life, and it's a precious, precious gift. Like, if anyone who's breathing right now, like, that is a gift. And I know that we have a lot of weight. We have a lot of sadness, of depression, of anxiety, of all the things that the world puts on us. But there is a gift of just being able to breathe. And there is a good God in the midst of all of that darkness and all of that hardship. And I feel like for me, like, I met God, like, I met truly who God is, his kindness, his comfort, his peace, all of these things that I read about and that I thought I knew, I got to know on just such a deeper level because it met me in such a dark, lonely, hard place. And so there's been beauty that has come out of that, of just really knowing God better. And there's a peace of just knowing that my brother is resting in peace and internal peace, and that I have hope that I will see him again. It's still hard to live this life and to have memories and have things happening and not to be able to share that with him. But I also cherish all the memories that I did have with him. So yeah, to anyone who's grieving, I am sorry. I know that it's a hard journey. And it's not a journey that ends. Like, you're going to carry this person for the rest of your life. But I do hear that you carry it differently every single time. And I think the best thing is just to really give your space room, give yourself, just space to feel whatever it is that you feel. Don't judge yourself for that. And just allow yourself to kind of move through those motions. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks for asking.
I mean, talking of asking, I don't know. Sometimes we also had a loss in the family. My husband lost his brother a year ago. We actually did do commemoration this April.
Sorry.
Yeah, and it's you don't know the right words to say to someone you love who has lost somebody they love.
Yeah.
So how do you talk to them? How do I talk to you? You know, sometimes also there's an acquaintance of ours, I would say a family friend, who also lost a child a while ago, and I didn't know what to tell her, what to say, and then when we finally met, she was like, "I just needed you to be here and just talk about other things anyway." So even that, like, how can we support the people we love who have lost those they have loved the most?
You know, I can't say that I have an answer, to be honest, because even what I've needed in the different stages has been different. So there's times where I'm just like, I just wish someone would just call me right now and just ask me like how I'm doing, or just ask me about my brother, or tell me about a memory about him, or, you know. And then there's other times where I'm like, I don't want to talk about it at all because I feel like once the tears come, I'm not going to stop. And so it's different every time. So if it's different every time, like, how can I expect people to, on one side, to know what to do or what to say or whatever, right? And I think the best thing I can say is that just don't sit in the, I don't know what to say, so I'm not going to say anything, or I'm just going to avoid, because I think that's what most people do, is like, just avoid the grief, because it's uncomfortable to not know. It's uncomfortable to sit and just be like, do I talk about it? Do I not talk about it? Do I ask you questions? Do I like, it's really, it's an uncomfortable space to be. But if we can get more comfortable with that and then just asking, I think that's really the power there of just like, hey, like, I'm really sorry for your loss. And would you I would love to know more about them. And would you like to share with me? No, actually, I don't really want to. Okay, then just leave it. Respect that, you know? But like, just because in that moment they said no, they don't want to talk about them, doesn't mean that every day for the rest of their life they don't want to talk about them, right? Because, and I think sometimes we just take, like, we ask and then we're like, oops, we shouldn't have said that, or we shouldn't have done this. But there's grace for that too. If your intentions are really pure, I think there's no harm in asking, and there's no harm in being like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to say. Can I just sit with you? Can I just be here with you? Do you want to talk about them? Do you not want to talk about them? Do you want to go out for a spa? Do you want to do something else? You know, and whatever it is, because at the end of the day, you just want to show up for that person. Yeah. And so I think in showing up for somebody who's grieving is accepting to be like, I'm not going to care about how I'm feeling or what I'm going to look like or if I'm going to look stupid or this and that. It's really setting that aside and just being like, I'm just showing up and I'm going to be guided by you of like what it is that you need and how I can support you in this. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That was intense in a good way, but I really hope it speaks to somebody today. Now, let's pick up the energy a little bit.
Yes.
40 by 40 wisdom. Hey. You've been sharing series on your page, 40 lessons by 40.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Things you've learned along the way, the things you want to teach us. So what sparked the lessons, the series?
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, happy birthday, happy early birthday.
Happy early birthday. Hey.
Wow, 40, Erica.
Yes, I'm turning 40.
You look amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. First of all, before you go into the series, what are you doing to look 20?
Hey.
40 is the new 30, I hear. And that is the new 20. Okay. Yeah.
Yes, what inspired it? I think, to be honest, I've been like, when I turned 35, that was COVID. Must have been COVID. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was COVID.
5 years ago, it was COVID.
And I remember when I turned 35, I was like, huh? Oh my gosh. I was like, now I'm on like this slippery down slope to 40. And like, I literally was like down slope, like we're going down.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm turning 40. But then also like, oh my gosh, I can't, when I turn 40, everything is going to be, you know, this and this and this. So I had this expectation to like, when I turn 40, like everything is going to be aligned and like snatched even, you know, skincare routine, like all of these things, just this pressure to have arrived.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know what that arriving was. But there was an excitement about turning 40 because of maybe what people were saying in your 40s, like this happens and this happens. And so anyways, now I'm like 31 days away from being 40. And a few weeks ago, I'd say maybe like 6 weeks ago, I kind of was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this came so fast. Like I'm about to turn 40.
Yeah.
And I remember my husband being like, what do you want to do for your 40th birthday? And then I kind of felt a bit sad of just like, oh my gosh, I'm turning 40. Like, what did I do? Like, what have I achieved? And so I started going through this whole thing of like, I'm almost 40. What have I achieved? What did I do with my life? What am I going to celebrate when I turn 40? And I know to some people that might be like, what are you talking about, girl? You got a business, you have 2 kids, you have this family, you have all these things. But I think that just goes to show you, you know, don't look at people and think that they have it all based on what you see. Because there's always something too, like a bit deeper that people are desiring or people are yearning or wanting that we don't see. So we see all the things that they have that we're like, oh my gosh, if I had that, like I would be totally happy. I would be like,
but also
so
I feel like
amazing
that
and this and
reflection
that.
also gives me a moment of like gratitude. Because I'm like, what I have, somebody else feels like if I could have that.
True. Yeah. And that I think that's always the case for a lot of people. But so I started feeling like, oh my gosh, what have I achieved? And then I just really wanted to flip it of like, no, like I'm about to celebrate this. There's a lot of growth. There's a lot of things that I've learned. There's this journey that I've been on. And while I'm going to turn 40, it's not going to be this magic, like everything is just aligned there. This is another season that I'm going to go into that I'm also going to embrace, that is going to bring highs and lows. And I'm just going to celebrate it. And so just this idea of like, let me just do this leading up, like 40 lessons by 40. One, I'm going to create hype until I turn 40, more for myself, so that, you know, like there's all this hype. I'm going to celebrate when I turn 40. I'm not freaking out. There's a lot to, you know, enjoy and look forward to, but also just breaking this whole like deadlines. I think I've always been this like,
the deadline.
Okay, after this, I'm going to get married. Okay, after this, I need to have my kids. All right, I need to make sure I have 2 kids or 3 kids or 4 kids. All right, and then after that, I'm going to have my business, and I'm going to get to this stage, and then now we're focusing on passive income, and then now...
Timelines.
So there's always timelines, there's always deadlines, and I was just like, no, I just want to focus on just being, and I want to remind people also to just be grateful for what season you're in, and like, who are you being right now? Like, don't just look ahead to like, oh God, please, like, just bring me my husband. I just want my husband. Or like, oh God, please, my children. Or, you know, and it's like, yes, we can have that desire and that expectation, but also like there's something that's happening. There's something that's brewing in like whatever season that you're in. And me looking back now and like reviewing these powerful lessons that I've learned is just like, wow, like some of them I really skipped over. And now am I so grateful to like go back and be like, wow, I've learned this and I've learned this the hard way. And I hope that in sharing that, one, it inspires people to look at what are some of the lessons and things that they're learning. I hope that it helps people to let go of some of the pressures that we put on ourselves for those deadlines, for those timelines, because we have our time, but God also has the time. And God's time is beautiful and perfect, and it makes sense at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that was kind of the reason and the inspiration behind it.
Yeah, and actually throwing some gems. Talk about your face, like you're looking so good. I'm like, oh, she 40. If 40 looks like this, I wanna be 40.
I had someone on Instagram was like, cute. I thought you were 27. I was just like, thank you.
No, really. Yeah. I mean, before I turned 30, I feel like I also had that. I want to be this before 30. I want to be this before 30.
Yeah.
And I think in my few words, I did share the what I've learned in turning 30 and what has changed for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, but also I feel like the deepest thing that happened to me when I turned 30 was a moment of pause. I had to pause and realign my expectations, what really matters to me.
Yeah.
There's a time you reach and you're like, you know what? Everything that I'm doing, what do I want to? I want to look back and 10 years from now and see what my life has been. I know, again, pressure.
Yeah.
But it made me pause and like rearrange my priorities. Well, like years can just run and
Yeah.
before
They
you know
do
it,
run.
you're 50.
You're 40. And then 50.
You're 50 and you're still, again, the same old person. But I love that you're giving us lessons. And these lessons are a moment, even for us, the public, to reflect on. And I mean, I've been following you to that. Like, as we record this, she was throwing day 9. And I'm sitting, I'm like, yes. So thank you for that. And,
Thank you for watching.
But again, what lessons like have stood out for you as a person? Like maybe 1 or 2.
Oh my gosh. So many. So many.
I know you have about 40 of them, but give us 2.
Yeah, so many. I think the biggest things is just the weight of people's opinions and how that has stopped me from doing so much. So much. I can't even, like, I'm almost 40 and it's like, I'm just starting to, like, I still have a bit of that, but I'm starting to shed some of that off. And it's hard for me not to go back and be like, oh my gosh, if I was 30 and like I had what I have now, how much more could I have done?
Yeah.
And I go into that tendency, but then I'm just like, no, Erica, like there is a purpose. There is something that I went through. There's that whole thing that taught me. Now there's power that I have in like understanding what this actually means and how this has held me back. And I still have a whole lot of years ahead of me, right? God willing.
Amen.
I still have a whole lot of years ahead of me.
Long live
and like
Queen.
time is not wasted. I think that's the thing, is time is not wasted. Because we can sit here and be like, oh my gosh, I'm 40. Like I wasted all this time. I wasted all this. No, like time is not wasted. And once you realize like, okay, I realize that this has been holding me back and I don't want this to hold me back anymore. Now don't spend time dwelling on like how it's held you back. Instead, just move forward. And I feel like that's what I'm doing right now. Is like I'm moving forward in courage, in boldness, in power. Yes, there's still a bit of that voice that's there, but like it no longer stops me from doing things. Where before, like I would just stop, I would not do anything. Now I carry that voice and I'm just like, oh my gosh, what do people think? What are they saying? But I'm doing it anyways. Yes. And I'm just like, you know what? We're just gonna live our life. And there's just so much beauty and freedom that is on the other side of just like, you know what? I'm just gonna be me. And it's interesting how most of my life, like I was just so worried about what people thought. I was just like hiding and I was like so insecure. And now that I'm like confident and I'm like, you know what? Let me not care about what people think is when this like, I'm thinking of the little girl, Erica, like 13, who was just trying to be popular, trying to have all the, like be in this crowd of friends. Always was made fun of, you know, and I just like felt so horrible. Like, why do they have all these friends? Why do they have all these things? I feel like the 13-year-old Erica that's looking at the Erica now with 120 something plus thousand followers on Instagram and all these things would be like, oh my gosh, you're so popular. You're so this. Like, you made it. Girl, you made it. But right now I'm just like, to be honest, I really mean this wholeheartedly. Like that does not, if tomorrow that were to go away, like I just still have this full confidence and freedom in just being me and being accepted for being me. Yeah. Because as soon as I let that go, like I've made so many beautiful friends that just know me, the real Erica, and love me, my husband, my kids, my family. And there's just so much freedom in that of just not walking through life like I'm holding my breath, you know? So
guys, breathe.
Breathe
in, breathe out. Lovely. Thank you so much for the wisdom you have shared today. So with all those lessons, one lesson that you're living with your kids, like we would hope your kids would learn?
Gosh, I hope my kids will just embrace every season. Embrace every season that they're in. Like, I think there's just that tendency of like, and even now my daughter's like, I'm going to be 6. When am I going to be 13? When can I drive a car? When can I, you know? Yeah. And I'm just like, and I love that. I love being like excited for what's next, but just also like embrace where you are. And I want them to like embrace every single season. Yeah.
Wow. Every season. Erica, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for
Such a
the
pleasure.
amazing conversations we just had. Thank you for all the gems you've thrown. Thank you for all the lessons you've told us. I mean, girl, I could listen to you talk, by the way, all day.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. As we wrap up, what does mind over matter mean to you this season?
That's a great question. Mind over matter. So as we talked about earlier, it's like mindset, right? And I think for me, this season is just surrender. And in surrender, it's like surrender to whatever you need right now. Like surrender to the push. Like right now I need to push. I need to drive. I need to hustle in my business. And this is like this busy season and I'm surrendering to that. I'm not fighting that. But then also surrendering to the rest, the pause, the reflection. And so it's really just kind of listening to like, what is it that I need in different seasons and just surrendering to that and not fighting it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for watching and listening to this episode. If you've made it to the end, you're my friend. I'm a favorite person. Thank you so much. And if this episode has spoken to you, and I know we've learned how to thrive, how to set systems, how to show up for ourselves and others, even in the messiness. We are showing up. We are doing it. Mind over matter. So please share this with a friend who would like a little bit of inspiration and encouragement. And remember, mindset is power. Till next time. Bye.
Bye.